Welcome back to Encore Learning on this beautiful, beautiful afternoon. We're going to talk about how to talk about retirement, how to live healthier, happier, and longer in retirement by author Brad Bickford, who's obviously written the book. He's also BCD and LCSW, but he has a unique little take on how to live longer.
Nice to see you all this afternoon. I'm Laura Polari-Welbus. I'm the Executive Director of Encore Learning. And I'm so pleased that we have Brad Bickford here to join us today. He's a board-certified diplomate, which means he's as good as it gets in his profession as a licensed clinical social worker. You're going to hear about his book today, How to Live Healthier, Happier, and Longer in Retirement. Brad's been retired from being a stand-up comedian, and he's been teaching on the subject of his book for the past 8 years at American University, and maybe we can get him to teach for Encore Learning. He promises to offer practical answers to your questions this afternoon. So we're going to use the Q&A function. Brad is going to present for up to about an hour, but you can submit your questions anytime. And then we'll pose those questions to Brad following his presentation. And we look forward to hearing those. And if you have a question that you want addressed, but don't want it, we don't get to it or something, we'll try to share those with Brad. And he's willing to follow up individually with you after the session today. So that's very generous of you, Brad. Thank you.
Welcome.
And Brad's going to pull up his shared screen and then give his talk. So thank you. And thank you so much. And welcome to Encore Learning Presents, Brad.
Thank you. Well, welcome everybody in this gorgeous day. Today I'm going to be talking about what's going on with our aging bodies, what we can do to keep them healthy, as well as address what we can do to live longer and be happier in our golden years. I've identified 8 pillars or areas that we need to attend to make this all happen. The brain, exercise, nutrition, emotional, psychological, sleep, personal care products, social relationships based on good communication skills, and spiritual. Unfortunately, today there isn't enough time to cover everything that's included in my book. For example, there's a section on dealing with grief and loss for seniors or dealing with family estrangement, and some fascinating questionnaires on nutrition and sex differences. So if you're interested, you can get my book entitled How to Live Healthier, Happier, and Longer in Retirement, 8 Essential Pillars, from the red website below, store.bookbaby.com, and put my name in the search box, and they will get it to you as soon as possible. Most of the facts presented in the book are evidence-based and research-based. So there's a lot to cover, so fasten your seatbelts and let's get started. But before I start any educational process, I always use some humor. Why is this important? Well, research shows that if our brains are relaxed and de-stressed, we're better able to absorb information and learn better. So, just wanted to share with you a humorous situation. You know, children sometimes model and imitate their parents. Well, my youngest son, when he was 3 years old, my wife took him food shopping at our local store. For some reason, the store had rearranged some of the food items, and my wife became frustrated when she couldn't find a certain vegetable. Our son, who was sitting in the grocery cart, was overheard yelling at the top of his lungs, "So where's the goddamn lettuce?" Well, my wife was mortified and said to me when she got home, "I guess I'll have to be more careful about what I say in front of him." So hopefully your brains are a little bit more relaxed, and let's get started. So when we're changing habits, and there's a lot of things to change when you go through this, I want you to just start small, okay? Don't get all overwhelmed with everything you want to change or do, but pick one item. You can use Post-it notes. Sometimes that helps. Or you could team up with somebody. But the important thing is to stay and think positively. Like if you can't exercise 5 days a week, and if you can only exercise 2 or 3, that's good. That's a very positive change. And we'll talk a minute about retirement. It takes planning, financial and emotional. So people who want to retire have to find out and ask themselves, can I afford this? Maybe I have to work part-time or change a lifestyle. But I think the big question becomes, what is going to be my new purpose or identity? When you're no longer working in your profession, you know, as a teacher or a clerk or a doctor or lawyer or whatever, your identity changes. You no longer have that identity or purpose. And so retirement is all about finding something new to do, a clear purpose in your life. And researchers show that when you've identified that purpose, it will extend the amount of years that you will live. All right, so let's take a look at changes in the senior body and physiology and what we can do about it. There's going to be a lot of repetition here. I'm going to cover a lot of these issues in more depth further on. First, our brains. We need to learn to stay mentally active. We do this by exercising, drinking water, eating well, getting good sleep, and getting annual physicals. When you get your annual physical, at our age, the doctor should assess you for any signs of dementia. So that's why it's important to get that annual physical, in addition to checking out your body's condition. I've had several friends that, you know, didn't know they had a heart murmur until they got that physical exam. So make sure you do that. Touch changes. We lose sensitivity in our older age. So what you can do about it is hug more, kiss more, and wear gloves to protect your hands and protect your skin with lotions. Our sight changes. Our lenses in our eyes become less flexible. So we need to take care of our eyes through getting exercise, adequate sleep, and get eye exams. Our hearing deteriorates. The cochlear nerves in our ears change and get less capable of hearing. So this can be dealt with, again, good exercise, sleep, and checking any high blood pressure issues you might have, in addition to an annual eye exam or hearing exam. Our skin. Many of you probably have noticed, but your skin gets thinner. So we have to protect it and nurture it with more lotions and sunscreen. And did you know drinking water is important for our skin? Water helps keep elasticity and slows wrinkling in the skin. Our heart muscles naturally weaken and blood vessels become less flexible. So again, exercise, sleep, healthy diet, and annual physical exams are important to check out our cardiovascular system. By the way, the #1 killer for women is cardiovascular disease. Lungs, we lose elasticity in our lungs, so we have to get vaccines or pneumonia vaccines, exercising, and don't smoke or be around smokers. Pollution from automobiles is an issue. So when you go out to eat at a nice restaurant and want to sit outside, just be aware of how close it is to the road, because you do not want to be inhaling carbon monoxide from automobiles in your delicious food. What happens to our muscles as we age? Well, we lose muscle strength. This is a term called sarcopenia. So we have to counter that by lifting weights, exercising, eating more protein, and getting adequate sleep. And our bones begin to weaken. So we have to take vitamin D and C and get exercise. I'm going to elaborate on all these things in the other slides. All right, let me go the other way. Vector. Okay, let's talk about the differences between the male and female body. This is really fascinating, and I go into it in more depth in my book. But for example, males and females have major differences in their reaction to medicines, digestion, stress, and longevity. For example, the antidepressant Zoloft does not work as well for men as it does for women. And did you know that women take longer to digest the same meal as a man? The reason for this is they found that the female colon is 10 centimeters longer, and it was designed this way to retain fluids for pregnancy. More men die of COVID than women, and women live longer than men. Why is this? Well, men have this sort of macho attitude and don't think that they need to take care of their health as much, and they take more risks, so they die more often. And women are better at remembering details than men over 50. So I'm constantly going to my wife and say, do you know where I put that? And sure enough, she has the answer most of the time. There are ethnic differences also. African Americans have a greater bone density than other races, and Native Americans have a higher rate of diabetes. This is a Civil Center for Disease Control findings. The reason Native Americans have a higher rate of diabetes is also based on their lack of access to healthier foods. All right, let's take a look at some themes that go throughout the book in this talk. The mind-body connection is the first one. What we eat, how much we exercise, how much we sleep, how much we socialize, these all impact how we feel and our moods and vice versa. For example, if you can recall not getting a good night's sleep, the next day you're probably going to be a little bit moody and maybe sad or quiet. If this lack of sleep continues for a long period of time, it could cause anxiety and depression. Each person's biochemistry is unique. So what helps you may not help others, okay? So if you have a headache and your friend says, oh, here, try my medicine, you probably don't want to do that because there's no guarantee it's going to work for you. We're all different. Your spouse, your friend may be able to take a nap and others can't. You may be less affected by COVID, the flu, bug bites, but others aren't. So just remember, we're all unique and different. Okay, let's take a look at the brain and how to keep it healthy. This is our computer center, our core, which keeps everything ticking for us. And we want to keep it healthy. One of the key things which I'm going to talk about right after this slide is drinking water in the morning will help eliminate a brain waste, and it also increases blood circulation. We want to get good sleep to keep our brain healthy. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and this is recommended by the Academy of Sleep Medicine. For those of you who can take naps, those are really good. It helps your cognitive and immune systems. Exercising, we're going to be talking about that soon. But if you engage in regular physical activity, it increases the blood flow going through the brain, which is important. A healthy diet. So there's certain foods that the brain is really benefited from. One of those is my favorite, blueberries. These are great antioxidants. There's also fish like salmon, nuts, beans, etc. And stress reduction. We don't want to keep our brains stressed. So we need to do that, take care of it through therapy, spending time in nature, exercising, practicing yoga, meditation, whatever works. And there's a process called neuroplasticity, which means that us seniors can still grow new brain cells and synapses. And we do this by taking classes like Encores, doing puzzles, reading, traveling, etc. Okay, let's talk about water. Drink 46 ounces of water every morning and throughout the day if you want to keep your brain and your body healthy, okay? I've known several people that I heard passed out and had to be hospitalized, and what they found out, they were dehydrated. So be aware of that. So what happens to our brains? At night, they, like many of our organs, shrink. It's kind of like a sponge. And when it shrinks, it compresses and pushes in and it squeezes out any of these beta amyloid protein plaques. That's the brain waste. Then in the morning, when our brain expands and it receives water, it further expands and can push out any residual beta amyloid proteins. So researchers are exploring this to prevent Alzheimer's disease. When they did autopsies on Alzheimer's patients who died, they found an extraordinary amount of beta amyloid protein plaque in their brains. And just remember, water is important for good blood circulation and prevents constipation at all ages, especially for us. All right, let's talk about this important pillar, exercise. Physical activity is key for overall health. The recommendation by the U.S. Center for Disease Control is 5 days a week for 30 minutes. Now, if you can't get up to that amount, that's fine. Just do it as many days as you can and as long as you can. But your goal is to try to get it up to 5 days and 30 minutes. Another key thing is do not sit more than 4 hours a day, okay? The Archives of Internal Medicine has researched this extensively and found that by sitting longer than that amount of time, you are going to shorten your life. So try to get up and move every 30 minutes or so. You can watch TV standing up. It's pretty easy. Start small when you're exercising. Begin warming up your body and stretching. Our bodies overnight, the muscles and ligaments tighten up. So that's why in the morning, we stretch. What we're doing is stretching those stiffened muscles and ligaments. We also want to do strength training. Us seniors will lose muscle strength. Beginning around the age of 50, it starts to happen. And so if you don't want to be losing muscle strength, you want to be able to open that jar that's hard to open, you need to do resistance or weightlifting workouts. What we did is we bought a couple pair of dumbbells and we lift those every morning, curls, and it really helps to get that strength maintained. And you want to do it until you feel a kind of a burn in your muscles, and then you've done enough. Another thing is balancing exercise, which we're going to talk about next. But seniors fall a lot, and so by practicing balancing on one leg and then the other, you're going to prevent future falling. There are many, many other benefits that are all research-based, and I'm just going to zip through them quickly, but at least longevity, improved appearance, reduces wrinkles in your skin, you have more energy, better sexual function, less pain, fewer colds, Your immune system is stronger, a better appetite, and it also lowers the risk of cardiovascular disease and helps prevent cancer and hearing loss. All right, let's talk about balancing. It will help prevent falls, which is a big issue for seniors. 1 in 4 seniors will fall after age 65. And the Center for Disease Control said this falling is the leading cause of fatalities for seniors 65 and older. So by falling, what happens with our thinning bones? We break a bone, and then, problems just continue from there. So practice every day if you can. Just standing on one foot, raise your foot maybe an inch or 2 off the ground, put it down, raise the other foot an inch or 2 off the ground, and try to hold that for, 15, 20 seconds, whatever you can do. And you'll notice it'll help you with your balance. All right, let me talk about play for a second. This is important for our brains and everything else. There's a term called neoteny, which is basically we're programmed in our DNA to play. So it's an intrinsic part of us. It lights up our brain, increases blood circulation, helps our memory. It helps us learn social, communication, and physical skills. And research shows it helps traumatized persons. It dissipates depression and sadness by producing feel-good hormones called endorphins. It's just fun. So when you do play, try to do it with other people and you'll see some benefits. Okay, let's get into a big one, the nutrition health pillar. In our stomachs and intestines, we have billions of bacteria and cells called our microbiome. And these microbiome change with age and also with the medications that we might take. For example, I used to eat sea salt potato chips and love them. Now when I have 1 or 2, I feel this heaviness in my stomach and just feel bloated. I just can't do it anymore. The microbiome are connected to our brains and influences our moods, our sleep, and our energy. Seniors overall need less food because we're not as active. So we can't and shouldn't probably eat those big, huge meals. We need more protein for our muscle deterioration. And we need vitamin D and C for preventing our bones from thinning. Research shows that if we eat a variety of foods and drink and less alcohol, we will live longer. So let me just take a second and chat about alcohol. NIAAA and Center for Disease Control used to say 2 drinks a day for men and 1 for women. They've now revised that so it's 1 drink a day for men and women. And there's some doctors and researchers in California that are not recommending any alcohol for seniors because of the things that it could do to the body. Okay, for those of you out there who want to lose weight, there's a 1, 2, 3 formula that will help. First is decrease simple carbs like ice cream, candy, soda, pasta, pastries, white rice, okay? Eat smaller portions of these and less frequently. Now, these are some things that we absolutely love sometimes, but if we limit them, and we're very conscious of that, it'll help us losing weight. Of course, we have to exercise more and drink water. So when we drink water, that fills up our stomach and intestines and makes us feel fuller, and so we won't eat as much. And we should also eat more complex carbs, proteins, fats, veggies, fruits. All these things take longer to digest and make us feel fuller. So we're less likely to eat more. And it's also much healthier for us. So let's take some key nutritional numbers for seniors. Sugars. Women, 6 teaspoons, men, 9 teaspoons. This is basically because of the body size difference. So I was doing research on this, and I used to love McDonald's chocolate shakes, especially small ones. So I looked it up, how many milligrams or grams of sugar in a small McDonald's chocolate shake. And I was blown out of my mind when I saw 67 grams. That's twice the amount that I should be having in one day of sugar. And then there's salt. Senior men and women, we should not have any more than half a teaspoon, and that's the 1,200 to 1,300 milligrams. So sometimes when I go to a movie, I like popcorn, I decide to look that up. Well, in a movie popcorn box or bag, it's estimated at 1,500 milligrams of salt. That's more than the daily amount that's healthy. And how about calories? Senior women should have no more than 1,200 to 2,000, and senior men, 2,000 to 2,600. The higher numbers are for active women and active men. So we can enjoy all these unhealthy foods sometimes, but what we have to do is minimize them. And what I recommend is you can eat half of it and then toss it. So all these figures come from the U.S. Food and Nutrition Board and the Canadian Institute of Nutrition. A key to knowing what we put in and eat every day are from the nutrition facts label. Everybody should be looking at this when they buy a food product in the grocery store. And you can see the information that's on it, like calories, sugar, salt, sodium content, carbohydrates. But there are also some important vitamins in the product, like vitamin D for our strong bones, calcium for bones, heart, and muscle, iron for blood and growth, potassium for metabolism, energy, and nerve function, and vitamin B12 for red blood cell production and nerve health. So, for example, calcium, you get that in dairy products and things like broccoli and other foods. Vitamin D can come from salmon, eggs, milk, and we also get it from sunshine outside. So get outside, get your melatonin and vitamin D buildup. Okay, let's move right along to the emotional psychological health pillar. In order to be emotionally and psychologically healthy, we have to work at it, right? It's not every day we wake up feeling happy and elated. Sometimes we're just going to be bummed out or depressed or sad about something. But there are things we can do to change it, like what I've talked about: playing, meditating, praying, being in nature, socializing with others, getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep, eating healthy, seeking therapy, exercising 5 days a week, and daily, think what you are grateful for. This really helps when you're feeling down and bummed out. What am I grateful for? Okay, why am I complaining? And think positively about life, okay? People who have a positive attitude have been found to have 13% fewer heart attacks. So you want to try to think positive and find that silver lining in everything in life. And practice smiling. This is kind of a funny technique, but if you put that smile on your face, you will notice that it'll begin to change your psychology and your emotions, and people will probably smile back at you, which causes you to smile and probably feel healthier. So just practice it. Even when you're bummed out, put that smile on your face. See what happens. All right, let me talk about laughter. Being an ex-comedian, I know that laughter is really important. It really helps our emotions. So doing some research, I found that laughter also strengthens our immune system. It lessens anxiety when we're feeling anxious. It relaxes us so we can learn better. That's why I gave you some humor before I started. Laughter enhances social relationships. We love hanging around people who are laughing and just enjoying life. Makes them more attractive. And laughter lowers our blood pressure. It also lessens any pain that we're having. Laughter makes us feel better and happy and triggers dopamine production, which is an endorphin hormone, which just makes us feel good. So I thought I'd pause here for a second and just give you another joke while we're on laughter. And this is going to be an easy one for you guys, but what flowers talk the most? Or what plants talk the most? Give up? Tulips. Get it? 2 lips? Okay. Hopefully I got a little bit of laughter out of that and a smile. But before we go on to the next slide on emotions, which deals with feelings, I want you to take a minute and write down, see if you can get 9 different feelings. Think of and write down 9 different feelings. See how many you can get. Go ahead. Okay, let's see how well you did. So the major emotions and feelings are I feel anger, hurt, fear, sad, happy, elated, disgusted, surprised, shame, and guilt. Those are the major feelings and emotions. But what's important for us seniors and everybody is when you feel these things, you want to share and express them, externalize them to stay healthy. Do not let them stay inside and repress them. Our bodies never lie to us and will signal when we're doing this. Our bodies will signal the stress in our stomachs, our chest, sometimes our neck, or our head. Or it could be a combination of those. So whenever you feel that tightness or stress in those areas of your body, say, I've got a feeling that I've got to share and get out. And you can externalize it by talking about it with somebody. You can journal it. You can go for a run, but the best, or you go to therapy, best thing to do is verbalize it, get it out. One thing to de-stress is get out in nature. I just wanted to point this out real quick, but this is a great way to de-stress. They found that it also helps our immune system. So actually touch nature or garden. And there's a healthy bacteria they found in the garden, in the soil, called Mycobacterium vaccae, which have found to mimic serotonin, which is an endorphin that makes us feel relaxed and happy. But somebody asked me, should I go out and take a dirt bath? I said, well, that's a little extreme. So just go out and, do some gardening, or when you go out in the woods, pick up some leaves and soil, and you're going to get some good, healthy bacteria. All right, let's talk about another key pillar, which is sleep. Our bodies, when we're asleep, are pretty active. Our brain is pretty active. During sleep, our bodies make repairs. They battle infections. They strengthen our immune system. They decrease stress. They build new cells and take in new nutrients to cells. We problem solve issues of the day in our brains, and we memorize and store new information. So our brains are pretty active. By the way, our brains take up about 20% of all the food that goes into our body. So we really need to keep it fed and active. And remember, we seniors need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. National Sleep Foundation has done a lot of research on this. And if you get this amount of sleep, they say you will also live longer. But what about if you can't sleep? What if you have an issue with getting better sleep? Well, there are things you can do. The first one is turn off that TV or cell phone 1 to 2 hours prior to going to bed. The bright lights from your TV or cell phone are stimulating your optic nerve, which goes up to your brain and makes it alert and awake. So you want to get those things turned off at least an hour or two before you go to bed. Socialize some during the day. That'll help you be relaxed and ready to go to bed. You could read or listen to music prior to sleep instead of watching something. And definitely no sweets, food, or caffeine at least 2 hours before you go to bed. Our digestive process takes that amount of time to get things settled. They also found that eating more plant-based foods helps our microbiome, and our microbiome coordinate with our brain about our moods and everything else. If you exercise, which you should, do that earlier in the day, so you're not all wound up in your blood and you're hyped up before getting to bed. And like I said, externalize any strong emotions. Okay, you don't want to go to sleep angry, upset, frustrated. Try to get it out before then, and you will have a more peaceful sleep. Get sunshine out every day outside for melatonin, and that's a hormone that helps us sleep. And for some of you who are lucky, like me, we can take midday naps. That also helps for the sleep process. Sleeping pills aren't the answer. Several doctors have said that. It might be a temporary fix for you until you get other issues straightened out. But overall, you do not want to rely on sleeping pills. Okay, let's go to another critical pillar, the personal healthcare pillar. What this is all about, there are ingredients in our toothpaste, soap, body wash, shampoo, perfume, deodorants that have unhealthy chemical contents, okay? And manufacturers do this for selling their products, but a lot of research is being done to find out that these things are not really the healthiest for us. So you may want to get yourself a magnifying glass to read the ingredients, because manufacturers sometimes bury these things in such small print that we can't even read it. Why this is important is because we have to protect our skin, especially our senior skin. Our aging skin is thinner, especially on our face, which has the thinnest skin, and it has about 20,000 pores. Our skin protects our body, and the pores in it are numerous, but what we put on it, could go through those pores into our internal organs, and that is toxic and unhealthy. So you want to use more healthy lotions, sunscreen, and proper clothing to protect your skin. And I'm just going to go over a few of the specifics, products and chemicals that keep an eye out for. There are many more which are listed in my book. But fragrances, colognes and, women's perfumes, a lot of them are made from petroleum-based chemicals like volatile organic compounds. And these are also in deodorants, and they could be irritants. And if a child or a grandchild of yours sees this bottle and wants to drink from it, it could be a real toxic problem. So many of these products are made with natural oil fragrances, and the chemical components are not necessary. Fluoride in toothpaste. Basically, this is good, but why is there a warning on all toothpaste boxes about fluoride? Well, the issue is for our grandchildren and children, if children swallow too much toothpaste, there's a problem called dental fluorosis, or spots on the teeth, which could happen. So make sure you teach your grandchildren not to swallow toothpaste and only use a small amount, maybe a pea size. How about mouthwash that we all use or should use to kill bacteria? Well, there are dyes in the commercial mouthwashes out there. You've seen them, blues and reds, okay, yellows. Well, these are not good because they kill good bacteria in the mouth and they stain our teeth. So what you can do is purchase white or clear mouthwashes. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is oxybenzone. So it's summertime and we go out there to the beach or wherever, we should put sunscreen on. But sunscreens with the chemical oxybenzone are found to damage coral reefs, and they also are an eye irritant and an allergen for some people. So you can find sunscreens without this chemical, and that's probably much healthier to use. Recently, most of you have heard about gas stoves emitting toxic pollutants, such as nitrogen dioxide or volatile organic compounds and methane. So what you need to do, what we do now is we put on our stove vent, air vent, every time we light a burner, or if you want to go through a big expense, you could go electric. And watch those germs. For a kind of a COVID prevention issue, I talk about things that we can do to prevent the spread of COVID. And by the way, folks, it's still going on. I just spoke with my cousin up in Connecticut yesterday, who went to a women's conference and came back home and had COVID. So most of you are probably aware of this, but you don't want a birthday cake like the guy on the upper left, putting his germs all over the cake. So use a cupcake for the birthday person and have them use that. You shouldn't share popcorn or food in a movie theater. Change your toothbrush every 2 to 3 months. Clean your hairbrush monthly. A lot of us don't do that, but boy, there's a lot of stuff in there. And I saw a slide of a bacteria that lived in tooth and hairbrushes, and it was freaky. So try to keep those clean. And then the big thing is unsanitary menus, ketchup and mustard and salt and pepper containers in restaurants. Folks, those things don't get cleaned and wiped down. So bring sanitizer with you, or get up and just go wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds after you use any of those things, and use paper towels. All right, let's talk real quick about a key health pillar, which is socializing and relationships. We're all social creatures and need others for happiness, mental health, well-being, longevity, de-stressing, coping with life challenges, and overall support, especially during the pandemic. Researchers have found that if you don't do this and you're lonely, there's a higher amount of depression, anxiety, heart disease, obesity, and faster aging. So what you can do about this is daily talk to somebody, whether it's in person, by phone, text, email, FaceTime, or Zoom. Socializing is very important. What's also important, though, is the quality of these relationships. There are certain skills that will really help improve your relationships and closest to people. One that I get on the soapbox about all the time is reciprocal communication. What this is if somebody says, Brad, how you doing? And I tell them, then I'm gonna reciprocate, say, and how are you doing? Or if they ask me, so what'd you do today? And I tell them, I'm then gonna reciprocate and ask them what they did today. Very, very important communication skill if you want to be in a healthy, closer relationship. You also want to ask questions about others. Now, monitor how long you talk. You do that by watching their nonverbals. If you're talking to somebody and they start looking away or looking at their watch or backing away, you've talked too long. So keep an eye on that. Listen to somebody else when they're talking with good eye contact, nodding your head. Monitor your voice tone and patience when you're arguing. Nobody wants to settle an argument with somebody who's screeching and yelling. So get control of your feelings and emotions first, and then communicate and try to resolve your conflict. There's been a lot of search on what makes us happy to just verify the importance of relationships. And there was a research study done at Harvard University, a longitudinal one that was men that were followed for 25 years. The conclusion of this major research project of what makes us happy was the only things that matter in life are your relationships to other people. Not money, not power. Let me repeat that. The only things that matter in life are your relationships to other people. So you want to work on those communication skills and be very social as much as you can. And then if you're in a relationship, I just want to talk about emotional connecting there. So the big thing is do something nice for your partner daily. That's the important thing of keeping a healthy emotional connection with somebody you're in a relationship with. You can give a loving touch, a regular hug, a kiss, a kind remark. Listen to them always, be playful, encouraging, say, I love you, and make criticisms rare. Work on that. With your friends, show and express gratitude. Like, I'm really glad you're in my life. I'm really glad I found somebody who has the same interests as me. Spend or schedule time with them, and things little like celebrating their birthdays really go a long way to enhancing that relationship. All right, let's get to the big issue, sex and the senior citizen. Keep it up and do it safely. Gay, straight, we can and should enjoy sex for a very long time, okay? Just because you're older doesn't mean you give it up or it doesn't exist. But senior sex is different. It's not dysfunction. So don't get hung up on the polls like AARP said 40% of people ages 65 or 80 are sexually active. Because what does that mean? It means 60% of that group are not sexually active, and that's okay. If you are sexually active, there are many benefits, which you probably know: building feel-good hormones, expressing caring, the benefits of touch. And if you're partnered or single and dating, communication is essential. Let me repeat that. If you're partnered, single, and dating, communication in the sexual realm is essential. There needs to be talk about sex before sex, issues like erectile dysfunction, vaginal dryness, any ailments, and STD prevention, proper condom usage. There needs to be communication during sex. What positions feel good, what you don't like, and afterwards, what did you like best? So, spirituality health pillar. What can we do to be spiritually active? I love this definition by Dr. Margaret Paul. She says a spiritual person's highest priority is to be loving to oneself and others, to care about people, animals, and the planet, and know that we are all one. Let me repeat that because I think that's really important. A spiritual person's highest priority is to be loving to oneself and others, to care about people, animals, and the planet, and know that we are all one. So ways to do this: take care of Mother Earth by planting trees, voting for environmental protection, caring for animals, helping people less fortunate, volunteering, recycling, use LED light bulbs, use cloth shopping bags, and replace plastic trash bags with 100% compostable ones. You can get these online. So, just wanted, this is a slide which I talk about more in my book when we deal with the issue of their ghosts, angels, and coincidences in life. But there was a large hadron collider built in Europe, 17 miles in circumference, to smash protons together. They wanted to see what they would see and observe. And what they found was this particle, the Higgs boson God particle. And they said this is a substance that is everywhere. It's like a soup all around us. But we human beings can't see it, but the machines can. So if there's this plane of existence that exists out there and we can't see it, I always raise the question in my classes. So maybe ghosts, poltergeists, angels, or coincidences could occur in these planes. Check it out, read my book, very fascinating. Okay, wrapping up. So what does the Cat in the Hat believe about aging? The Cat in the Hat says, I cannot see, I cannot pee, I cannot chew, I cannot screw. Oh my God, what can I do? My memory shrinks, my hearing stinks. No sense of smell, I look like hell. I look like hell, my mood is bad, can you tell? My body's drooping, have trouble pooping. The golden years have come at last. The golden years can kiss my ass. Thank you all. I hope you learned at least one thing that will help you live healthier and happier in retirement. And I will now be glad to entertain any questions or comments.
That was just wonderful, Brad. Thank you so much. I appreciate how you organized the presentation and the pillars. We've got time here for questions, and folks can put them in the Q&A module. You can click on Q&A and post your question. And I have a few that have come in. Remind us, Brad, where we can buy the book.
Right in the bottom there, store.bookbaby.com. The bottom of the last slide, store.bookbaby.com, and just put my name in the search box.
Excellent. Good deal. So Alan asked, he asked that we mentioned that you were a stand-up comedian. Can you tell us a little bit more about that work and how it ties into your counseling?
Well, I wanted to learn stand-up comedy and overcome some anxiety, I guess, about public speaking. So I did it. I took a class from DC Improv, and when I had my sort of presentation already, I noticed that most of my classmates were millennials, and I was trying to tell jokes about having kids, and I didn't get any laughs. So I had to revise the whole thing. And of course, what gets laughs and what do millennials think about, and that's sex. So I changed the whole thing, and I started getting all kinds of hilarious laughs and guffaw and laughter. So if you want to see my presentation, there's a YouTube site. Just type in Brad Bickford stand up, and you'll be able to watch one of my presentations at DC Improv. But just remember, it's R-rated or X-rated.
Okay, all right, great.
And I try to use that humor, you know, in my classes and in my therapy with clients, because I really want to, you know, get everybody laughing so they can enjoy life.
Wonderful. So you recommended that we get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Does that include the nap time?
No, that's in addition. So a lot of people can't nap. My wife can't nap, you know. So if you have, you know, a long night of restless sleep and you don't get your 7, 8 hours, you can always, you know, take that, you know, quick nap later on in the morning or, you know, mid-afternoon, and that will help your mood and everything else improve. But try to get 7 to 8 hours at nighttime, and if you're lucky, take those naps during the day in addition.
Mort also asked, you recommend drinking 4 to 6 ounces of water in the morning, but if you have cereal with some fruit and some milk, do you still need to drink the water?
Yeah, I get asked this question every time, you know, what about, you know, substituting orange juice or coffee or whatever? Well, I don't know if the research is that specific, but they talk about the body is composed of water, right? And so the more water we can add to our system, you know, the better. When you put in coffee or orange juice, those have other minerals and elements in them that have to get filtered out. And so it makes more work for the cells. We're just trying to get pure water into them.
That makes sense.
If you forget to drink your water and you've had your OJ, that's good. You got some fluids in you, but try to get that 4 to 6 ounces of H2O.
Okay, great. And this is a good question that came in. What are some ways to respond to younger people who treat me like an old person?
Ooh. Well, I would need to know more specifically how they treat you like an old person. But in general, you know, you may want to play with them. You may want to tell jokes with them, you know, and they're going to think you're really cool, you know. Joking is wonderful. So I try to do that at, you know, at big family reunion dinners and everything else, especially with our children, because the kids love it. And the kids also try to tell me some of their knock-knock jokes and whatever. So that's a good way to bond with children, but also being willing to play with them. Don't just sit there in a chair and say, oh, I'm too tired. You know, say, you know, let's read a book together, or, you know, let's go toss the ball, and just, you know, do the best you can.
And Terry asked, what are the benefits of electrolytes?
Benefits of electrolytes are for the cells in our body, okay? Every cell has a certain pH balance, okay? And so if it's too, you know, acidic, if you eat too many acidic foods, you know, or too much salt or too much sugar, that's going to throw off the electrolytes balance in your cells, in your blood. So you want to, you know, drink water to, you know, help remedy that, and also drink or eat the right kind of foods.
And can you suggest some alternative methods, such as some herbs for stiff joints in addition to exercise?
I'm not an expert in that area. So I'd have to pass on that, but, really try to, eat healthy. Okay. Not have a lot of sugar. Sugar causes inflammation, okay, in joints. And so you want to really minimize any kind of amount of sugar you have in your diet, and move your body constantly. We've got to move our bodies to keep them lubricated.
Okay. And we have a question. So are there benefits to coffee?
Are there benefits to coffee? Oh, I love this because the coffee producers every year, are battling this issue and saying, yes, there are tons of benefits. And I think mostly what I've seen, there are benefits of coffee. They not only, perk us up, and, caffeine can help us, have energy. But there are some, probably antioxidant qualities to caffeine, which are, useful. So you just don't want to abuse it. Okay. I know people that have 3 or 4 or 5 cups a day, especially when they're working. So you really want to try to minimize that. Have it mostly in the morning. And when you get there in the evening, do not have it anywhere past, 2 hours before bed.
Okay, good. And what about pets? Are there positive influences of having dogs, cats?
Absolutely. We actually have one in my book. You'll see a picture on the sleep chapter of our dog Winnie, who knows how to sleep really well and take naps. But yes, pets are excellent, especially for those people who may not have partners. So actually just petting an animal, okay, is a way of self-soothing and de-stressing. We also, can get playful with our pets, and they cause us, to get out of the house and take them for walks. We got to move our bodies. And pets are, just wonderful, especially, ones that are kissy and, huggy and all that, and they love affection. So pets, I've never seen, an animal when I come home go nuts like my dog does. And I tell my wife, I get more love from our dog than I do from you when I come home. So
That's right.
yeah, pets are very good.
Okay. Any trade-offs or any risks of with having pets?
Well, of course, as you age, you have to take them outside, in the wintertime. So you have to be careful with, walking on icy conditions. Pets could also, bring in fleas, which you have to make sure doesn't happen. Pets are expensive. When they get a health problem, there's, rarely a pet insurance that's going to take care of the multi-$1,000, surgery that's necessary. So
Steve asked about as far as cutting down on sugar. He said he replaced dessert at night with having a banana, but he just heard from a friend that potassium, which is in bananas, is not good at night. Your thoughts on that?
again, I don't know the specific nutritional issue of bananas, but what I do know is a banana, as it ages, becomes more sugary. So if you eat an older banana that's beginning to, show spots on the skin, that banana's composition is becoming more sugary. So eating a newer, greener banana will probably be less sugar in it.
Somebody asked if the book has a sort of a checklist or summary in it of all these tips.
Yeah, so there is especially like in the chapter on exercise. At the end of the chapter, I list like 27 benefits of exercise. And there are several questionnaires that, really help reinforce the learnings in the chapters, like on nutrition and, sex differences.
Great. And Eileen asked about, there is a book by somebody named Daniel something who wrote about emotional intelligence, and he spoke about releasing anger, because he suggested that every time you rethink something that angered you, you're generating the anger again.
Mhm.
And she asks, can you be more specific about your perspective on expressing emotions?
Okay. Well, especially if you have a strong feeling of anger, frustration, sadness, okay? We all are human, and if we don't externalize that, okay, we're gonna hold it on our organs inside, okay? It's a substance called cortisol, which is a stress hormone that gets released when we are angry, frustrated, sad. And if that cortisol doesn't get dissipated, okay, by talking, by journaling, by getting therapy, it's going to build up and have negative effects on organs. So you want to really make sure any strong feelings that you externalize them and get them out and talk to somebody. I hope that was what she was looking for.
So, and Sandy added that the book being referred to is written by Daniel Goleman, a book on emotional intelligence.
Mhm.
Great. We're welcome to take any more questions. We've got a little bit more time. If people have questions, you can put them in the Q&A. And certainly, I want to highlight that many things you've talked about can be improved by participating in Encore Learning. Our classes keep you intellectually engaged, and you meet new friends, and you can be physically active.
Mhm.
We offer a course each semester that includes walking, a couple miles each class session.
Excellent.
Many ways to implement some of these recommendations.
Mhm. Yeah, if you can combine exercise with social and relationships, that's a beautiful combination.
Yes, I know many friendships are made through participation in Encore Learning.
And that becomes a support system, which we all need as we age.
Give a moment. Just remember, when people leave, you might be directed to take a survey, and we appreciate that. The feedback is helpful for us. That survey pops up in your browser after you leave the webinar. I don't see anything else. Terry, do you have anything else you want to add before we close? He's here, but okay. Well, Brad, do you want to offer any closing comments?
I just have one joke for everybody, which is one of my favorites. But what is the one animal that Noah did not take on the ark? The woodpecker. Get it?
That's
Okay.
fun. Nice
right.
one. Like
Thank you all for spending time and learning about how to be healthier, happier, and live longer. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much, Brad. And we did record today's program. So it'll be available up on our YouTube channel and probably in a couple of days. So you can share that with your friends. And If you want to suggest more ideas for Encore Learning Presents, you can get involved in the special events committee. Just send us an email at info@encorelearning.net. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Terry, for being here today too. And thank you so much, Brad.
You're
See
welcome.
you all soon.